So I want to give you a little test. I want you to think of one thing that is universal to all people of African descent. I mean, black folks on the continent, black folks in South America, black folks in the Caribbean, black folks in Europe, here in the United States, English speaking, black folks, French speaking, Spanish speaking, Portuguese speaking, Christian, Muslim, Democrat, Republican, dark skin, light skin. Like, what is something that all of us have in common? I tried to think of all of the different things that I could say are even approaching universal. And I couldn't come up with anything except for voodoo. If you say voodoo to any category of black folks, they're all going to be able to unify in their rejection of voodoo. The English speaking, the Muslim, the Catholic, the Protestant, the French speaking, the Spanish speaking, the North American, the South American, the Caribbean, the continental, the European, all of them are going to be able to chorus in unison as one and say, we reject voodoo. And how interesting and bizarre is that? That the one thing that we all have in common is that we reject our indigenous spirituality. This is in spite of the fact that so few of us actually even have direct contact with anything that's reminiscent of voodoo. And I'm going to tell you a story about how this particular realization became so clear for me. A few years ago, I was in Syracuse, New York, and I bumped into a couple of lovely Ghanaian girls. And we were talking and chit-chatting and making small talk and all. And I was wearing all my traditional clothes, and they were just curious. Like, wow, you're from the United States. I said, yeah, I'm from the United States. They said, well, how often are you going back to Africa? I said, I go back once, twice a year. And as a matter of fact, at the time I was going back, and they were saying, well, you got to go to Ghana. And I'm like, I haven't been to Ghana, but I have gone to Nigeria. I've gone to Benin, and I'm on my way back to Benin right now. And they said, oh, you got to be careful when you go to Benin, though, because in Benin, the voodoo is really widespread. I said, oh, yeah, no problem at all, because that's exactly where I'm going, for the voodoo. Immediately, one of the girls did a 180. Boom, she took off. She said, I got to go to the bathroom. She left and never came back. The one who stayed back went into almost full-blown evangelical mode. She started telling me all about, the vagaries and the wickedness of voodoo. And I listened. I said, all right, well, tell me exactly what happened. What was done to you by someone who practiced voodoo? And she couldn't name anything. I said, well, tell me something that happened to your parents as a result, like directly in the name of voodoo. She couldn't name anything. I said, well, maybe there was something in your father's history, and this village was sacked by a voodoo people, or something in your mother's village, it was taken over by voodoo people. And what happened? She couldn't name anything. And it just really, really struck me that the irrational fear that we have of voodoo is what ends up, we end up projecting it out into the world, and we end up with an equally irrational fear of one another. And so in the same way that we are afraid of voodoo, we are afraid of our intuition. In the same way that we have this irrational fear of voodoo, we have this irrational fear of our dreams, of our instincts, of our visions. And then we project those fears out into the world. And it's not limited to voodoo. We have all kinds of reasons to be suspicious and fearful of all the things that are most natural to us. And so we as African people find it difficult to unify with one another because we have this deeply seated fragmentation within our own consciousness. And so in my upcoming course, Reclaiming Our Roots, I am exploring the unique ways in which Yoruba spirituality sets the stage for African Americans in particular to get a deep understanding of the roots of our identity so that we can then appreciate the fruits of our identity. And if it shows up as instinct, if it shows up as dreams, as it shows up as intuition, if it shows up as any other kind of a natural gift or talent, then we're able to accept it and embrace it. And then to the degree that we can embrace all the aspects of ourselves, then we're in a better position to embrace and accept all of the different aspects of the greater African community. But it begins within. And so, if you're someone who's trying to make sense of the madness, you're trying to put it all together, and you're trying to really start to see yourself and experience yourself and take advantage of your natural gifts and talents and your ancestral inheritance, then I want you to join this new course, Reclaiming Our Roots, Yoruba Spirituality for African Americans. I want you to join us so that you can help us to bring about the good condition for yourself and those who you're destined to serve. Visit obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com and start getting yourself enrolled in the course. As a matter of fact, there's going to be a link in the description of this video below. Click that link, see what the course is all about. And if you got any questions, reach out and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions and give you all the insights and details about what we're going to do and what the goals and outcomes of this course are going to be for you as an individual, for your family, and for the broader community. I look forward to working with you. Bye for now. Au revoir.